Welcome to Easy Meals with Chris. Today I am cooking crepes. Pause the video to get a good look at the ingredients. Crepes are a very simple food that can be great with a few tweaks. We start by adding the milk, butter, oil, eggs, and the secret ingredient, sherry cooking wine. The butter doesn't need to be room temperature as the blender will chop it up. You want to give that a quick mix in a blender for about 30 seconds or so. Then add the salt and flour and blend again for an additional 30 seconds or so to mix everything up. Place the batter into a container and leave it in the refrigerator. The second thing you want to do is to let it set for 3 or 4 days before you cook it to let the ingredients really mix well. If you are in a hurry, you can cook them right away, but they will taste much better after a few days. I like to make breakfast crepes, so I also make a fruit topping. You can save some pieces to add to the final product. We start by chopping up strawberries. You want them a bit thin so they break down when you cook them. Add in 1.5 teaspoons of sugar and a squeeze of lemon. This helps bring out the flavors without making them too sweet like a dessert. Just keep stirring it with a fork and crush them up as you're cooking until it's a nice consistency, and then you can set it aside for later. Next, I do blueberries. I cut them in half as that speeds up the cooking. Also, add in 1.5 teaspoons of sugar and a squeeze of lemon to enhance the flavors, and crush with a fork as you're stirring. Finally, I mush up some bananas with a fork. If you use slightly older bananas with a few brown spots on the outside, they should have plenty of sweetness without needing to add anything. You can use any nonstick pan and a large spatula for cooking. If you have the fancy crepe pan and stick, that works, but are not needed. The size of the pan you use will dictate how big the crepes are, but the size doesn't matter. You want the pan fairly hot, so when you put down the initial butter, it immediately starts to bubble, but doesn't brown right away. On future crepes, the butter isn't needed as there is more than enough in the batter. Take a small ladle of the batter and put it in the middle of the pan. You want to have it initially only take up about half of the pan, and you can swirl it around the pan so it reaches the edge and becomes proper thickness. They cook fast, so you'll want to look at the edges and wait until they start to brown. This should take about a minute or so. You can then use the long spatula to get under the crepe and flip it over and cook for another minute, and then it should be done. Set aside and cook the remaining crepes. Once cooked, you assemble everything. I just roll them up, or you can fold them in half twice and have little triangles. Cover with the fruit toppings and enjoy. Thanks for watching and have a great meal.